The old couple stood shivering under a streetlight, their clothes worn, their hands trembling as they held a small bag between them. To anyone passing by, they looked like two strangers with nowhere to go, but the truth was far stranger. They were not homeless. They were not lost. They were testing their own family. For months, Mr. and Mrs. Maida had felt something painful growing inside their home. Their children were busy. Their calls went unanswered. Visits became rare. Respect faded into silence. So they made a decision no one could imagine. They would pretend to be homeless for one night. They wanted to know one thing: if they had nothing left, who would still open the door? They knocked on the first house. The door stayed shut. They tried another. A voice inside said, "Go away." Even people they once helped turned their faces. Hour by hour, hope disappeared. Until they reached the last place they never wanted to go, the home of their daughter-in-law, the woman they blamed for everything, the woman they hated most, Mrs. Maida whispered, "She will slam the door." Mr. Maida raised his hand and knocked anyway. The door opened, and what happened next changed everything. Mr. and Mrs. Maida had once been the kind of couple everyone respected. They lived in a large home. They had raised two successful sons. They were known in the neighborhood as proud, hardworking people who had built their life from nothing. For years, they believed family was everything. But somewhere along the way, things began to change. Their sons grew older, careers became more important, phones rang less, visits became short and rushed. And slowly, the house that was once full of laughter started to feel quiet. Still, the Maidas told themselves it was normal. "Children get busy," Mrs. Maida would say. "They will come around, Mr. Maida would reply, but deep down there was another truth. One person had always been at the center of their bitterness: their daughter-in-law, Ananya. Ananya was not the woman they wanted for their eldest son, Raj. She came from a simple background. Her parents were not wealthy. She spoke softly, kept to herself, and never tried to impress anyone. To Mr. Maida, she seemed too ordinary. To Mrs. Maida, she seemed too quiet. "She is not right for our family," Mrs. Maida had said from the beginning. Raj had married her anyway. And from that day, the distance in the family began. The Maidas blamed Ananya for everything. When Raj stopped visiting as often, it was Ananya's fault. When he missed family dinners, it was because she controlled him. When he moved into a smaller home across town, they said she pulled him away. Ananya never argued. She never raised her voice. She simply stayed respectful, even when she was treated like an outsider. But respect was never enough for them. Years passed. Then, one winter evening, Mr. Maida sat by the window, watching cars pass by outside. His hands rested on his cane. His shoulders felt heavier than they used to. Mrs. Maida entered the room quietly. "Raj didn't call again," she said. Mr. Maida sighed. "It has been 3 weeks." Mrs. Maida's lips tightened. "He has forgotten us." "He hasn't forgotten," Mr. Maida murmured. "He is just far." Mrs. Maida shook her head. "Far because of her." Silence filled the room. Then Mr. Maida spoke again slowly. "What if we disappeared tomorrow?" Mrs. Maida turned. "What do you mean?" He looked at her with tired eyes. "What if we had nothing? No house, no name, no comfort. Would anyone care?" Mrs. Maida frowned. "Why are you saying such things, Mr. Maida leaned forward. "Because I want to know the truth, not the polite truth, the real one." Mrs. Maida sat down, confused. "The real truth is that children are ungrateful," she muttered. "But Mr. Maida shook his head. "No," he said. "The real truth is we don't know who still has kindness." Mrs. Maida stared at him. Then, after a long pause, she whispered, "Are you suggesting a test, Mr. Maida didn't answer right away, but his eyes said everything. They would pretend, just for one night. They would dress like strangers with nowhere to go. They would knock on doors. Not to beg for money, only to beg for humanity. Mrs. Maida's voice trembled. "What if no one helps us?" Mr. Maida's expression grew darker. Then we will finally know what we truly mean to this family. And neither of them realized that the person who would face that test first was the one they least expected. The next evening, the Maidas did something they never thought they would do. They stepped out of their home without telling anyone. Mr. Maida wore an old coat he had not touched in years. Mrs. Maida wrapped herself in a faded shawl, the kind she used only for cleaning. They left behind their jewelry, their phones, their identity. For the first time in decades, they walked as if they belonged nowhere. The cold air bit into their skin. Mrs. Maida kept glancing around nervously. "This is foolish," she whispered. "What if someone recognizes us?" "No one looks closely at people like this," Mr. Maida replied quietly. "That is the point." They reached the main road where lights from shops and cars blurred in the evening mist. People passed them quickly, eyes forward, pretending not to notice. Mrs. Maida's pride tightened in her chest. She had once been the woman others greeted with respect. Now she was invisible. Mr. Maida stopped near a row of houses. "These are good homes," he said. "Kind families live here." Mrs. Maida nodded slowly. They approached the first door. Mr. Maida raised his hand and knocked. A few seconds passed. Then the door opened just a crack. A young man looked out, his face cautious. "Yes," Mr. Maida spoke gently. "Son, we are cold. We have nowhere to stay tonight. Could we rest somewhere, even in a corner?" The man's eyes flickered over their worn clothes. His expression changed immediately. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "We can't help." And the door shut. Mrs. Maida flinched as if slapped. They walked to the next house. This time Mrs. Maida knocked. An older woman opened the door. Before Mrs. Maida could speak, the woman frowned. "No," she said sharply. "We don't want trouble here." "I'm not asking for trouble," Mrs. Maida whispered. "Only warmth." The woman's face hardened. "Go to a shelter." The door closed again. The cold felt sharper now. They continued down the street, knocking on more doors. Some people didn't answer at all. Some answered only to turn away. One man shouted, "Get off my property." Another woman said, "We have children inside." Each rejection chipped away at something deep inside them. Mr. Maida's shoulders sank. Mrs. Maida's eyes grew wet, though she refused to let tears fall. They had expected a few closed doors. They had not expected to feel so unwanted. After an hour, they stopped near a small park. Mrs. Maida sat on a bench, her hands trembling. "I can't do this," she whispered. Mr. Maida sat beside her, breathing heavily. "This is the world now," he said softly. "People are afraid. People are busy." Mrs. Maida's voice cracked. "Our own children, would they do the same?" Mr. Maida didn't answer, but the thought was already burning inside both of them. Still, they had to know. So they made the hardest decision. They would go to the homes of their own sons. The first was Raj's brother, Samir. Samir lived in a modern house with bright lights and a shiny car in the driveway. Mrs. Maida's heart pounded. Mr. Maida walked up slowly and knocked. The door opened. Samir stood there, phone in hand. He stared at them, confused. "Yes, who are you?" Mrs. Maida swallowed. "Please," she whispered, "we just need a place to sit for a while." Samir frowned, impatient. "I'm sorry, I can't help. Call someone else." And without another word, he closed the door on them. Mrs. Maida's knees nearly gave out. Mr. Maida stared at the door, stunned. Even their own son hadn't looked twice, and now only one door remained, the one they feared most. The street outside Raj's home was quieter. The houses were smaller here, simpler, with soft porch lights instead of bright gates. It was the kind of neighborhood Mrs. Maida had always judged silently. "This is where she brought him," she muttered. Mr. Maida didn't respond. His face looked older than it had the day before. They stood across the road, staring at the house. Raj lived here with Ananya, the daughter-in-law they never accepted. Mrs. Maida's stomach twisted. "She will not help us," she whispered. "She will enjoy seeing us like this." Mr. Maida's voice was tired. "We came to know the truth." Mrs. Maida clenched her shawl tightly. For years, she had believed Ananya was the reason the family broke apart. Now walking toward her door felt like walking toward humiliation. Still, Mr. Maida stepped forward. Each step felt heavy. They reached the porch. Mr. Maida raised his hand slowly and knocked. The sound echoed in the quiet night. For a moment nothing happened. Mrs. Maida held her breath. Then the door opened. Warm light spilled out. Ananya stood there surprised. Her eyes widened slightly as she saw the couple. Not recognition, just concern. "Oh," she whispered. "Are you all right?" Mrs. Maida froze. Ananya's voice was gentle. Mr. Maida spoke carefully. "We are cold. We have nowhere to go tonight." Ananya's face softened instantly. Without hesitation, she opened the door wider. "Please come in," she said. "It's freezing outside." Mrs. Maida stared at her. "Come in," she repeated quietly, almost offended. Ananya nodded quickly. "Yes, please, sit down. I'll get you something warm." Mr. Maida stepped inside slowly. Mrs. Maida followed, still unsure if this was real. The house was modest but clean. A small living room with simple furniture. A few family photos on the wall. Ananya led them to the couch. "Sit," she said kindly. "I'll bring blankets." Mrs. Maida lowered herself stiffly, her pride screaming inside her. Ananya disappeared into another room. Mr. Maida looked around, his voice barely a whisper. "She didn't even ask who we are." Mrs. Maida didn't answer. A moment later, Ananya returned with 2 thick blankets. She wrapped one around Mrs. Maida's shoulders with care. Then she placed the other over Mr. Maida's legs. "You must be so cold," she said softly. Mrs. Maida's throat tightened. No one had spoken to them like that all night. Ananya hurried toward the kitchen. "I can make tea," she called, "and some food. We have lentil soup left from dinner." Mrs. Maida's eyes followed her. This was the woman she had called selfish. The woman she had blamed. Mr. Maida's voice shook slightly. "Why are you helping us?" Ananya paused and looked back. "Because you're people," she said simply, "and you're standing in the cold." Mrs. Maida's hands trembled under the blanket. Ananya didn't know who they were. She thought they were strangers, yet she treated them with more warmth than their own family had. As Ananya poured water into a pot, she spoke again, quieter. "My husband is not home yet," she said, "but it's okay. You can rest here until morning. No one should be outside tonight." Mrs. Maida swallowed hard. Rest here until morning. A stranger offering shelter. Mrs. Maida glanced at Mr. Maida, her eyes filling with emotion she didn't want to show. Then Ananya brought 2 cups of steaming tea, placing them carefully in their hands. Her voice was calm. "You're safe here," she said, and in that moment the Maidas realized something painful. The only door that opened was the one they never believed would. Mrs. Maida held the warm cup between her hands, but her fingers still trembled, not from the cold anymore, from shame. Ananya sat across from them quietly, watching with gentle eyes. She didn't speak too much. She didn't question them. She simply let them breathe. After a few minutes, she placed a small bowl of soup on the table. "It's simple," she said softly, "but it will help." Mr. Maida nodded, his throat tight. "Thank you," he murmured. Ananya gave a small smile. "You don't need to thank me. Anyone would do the same." Mrs. Maida almost laughed at that. Anyone? No one had, not one person, not even their own son. Mrs. Maida looked down at the soup, unable to meet Ananya's eyes. Then Ananya spoke again, carefully. "May I ask, do you have family nearby?" The question landed like a stone. Mr. Maida hesitated. Mrs. Maida answered before he could. "Yes," she said, her voice stiff. "We do." Ananya's expression softened further. "Then, why are you outside?" Mrs. Maida's lips parted, but no words came. What could she say? That they were testing people, that they were pretending, that they were standing in her home because every other door stayed closed. Mr. Maida cleared his throat. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "family is complicated." Ananya nodded slowly, as if she understood more than they expected. Yes, she whispered. It is. Her eyes drifted toward a framed photo on the shelf. It was Raj and Ananya on their wedding day. Mrs. Mehta's chest tightened. Ananya noticed her gaze. She hesitated, then spoke gently. My husband's parents don't like me much. Mrs. Mehta froze. Mr. Mehta's spoon stopped midair. Ananya let out a soft breath. I don't blame them, she continued. I wasn't what they wanted, Mrs. Mehta's voice came out sharp. And what did they want? Ananya looked down. Someone richer, someone louder, someone more acceptable. Her words were calm, but there was pain underneath. Mr. Mehta's eyes lowered. Mrs. Mehta felt as if the room had become too small. Ananya added quietly, I tried hard, I still do, I respect them. I never wanted to take their son away. Mrs. Mehta's heart pounded. Take their son away. That was exactly what she had accused her of. Ananya continued, her voice barely above a whisper. But sometimes, no matter what you do, people decide who you are before they even know you. Silence filled the room. The soup sat untouched now. Mrs. Mehta's hands tightened around her cup. She wanted to defend herself. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't, because Ananya was speaking the truth. Mr. Mehta finally asked, Do you feel alone? Ananya blinked, surprised by the question. Then she smiled sadly. Sometimes, she admitted. Raj is kind, but he is always working. And I don't have much family here. Mrs. Mehta swallowed hard. This woman they hated was lonely too. Ananya stood up gently. I'll prepare the guest room, she said. You both should rest, Mrs. Mehta's voice trembled. You would let strangers sleep in your home? Ananya looked back, confused. Of course, she said. You're elderly, it's dangerous outside. I couldn't forgive myself if something happened. Mrs. Mehta felt tears sting her eyes. She turned her face away quickly. Ananya walked down the hallway, leaving them alone in the warm living room. Mr. Mehta whispered, She has more kindness than all of us. Mrs. Mehta didn't respond, because deep inside something was breaking, and the hardest part was still ahead. They hadn't even told her who they were. The guest room was small but clean, fresh sheets, a heater humming softly, a glass of water placed carefully on the bedside table. Ananya stood at the door with a gentle expression. You can sleep here, she said. I'll be in the next room if you need anything. Mr. Mehta nodded slowly. You've done more than enough. Ananya smiled politely. It's nothing. But it wasn't nothing, not to them. Ananya stepped away, leaving the door slightly open. Mrs. Mehta sat on the edge of the bed, her shoulders heavy. Mr. Mehta remained standing, staring at the blanket in his hands as if it carried a weight he could not name. Mrs. Mehta finally whispered, This is wrong. Mr. Mehta looked at her. What is? This test, she said, voice trembling. We came here to prove she was selfish. To prove she didn't deserve our son. Mr. Mehta lowered his eyes. And instead, Mrs. Mehta's lips tightened. Instead, she treated us like family before even knowing who we are. Silence stretched between them. Mrs. Mehta's pride was crumbling. She thought of every harsh word she had spoken about Ananya. Every cold glance, every time she made her feel unwelcome. And yet Ananya opened the door. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. Mr. Mehta sat down slowly. I didn't expect this, he admitted. Mrs. Mehta's eyes filled with tears. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for our names. She didn't call anyone to send us away. Mr. Mehta's voice was low. Our own son shut the door. That sentence broke something inside Mrs. Mehta. She covered her mouth, a quiet sob escaping. We raised them, she whispered. We gave them everything, Mr. Mehta reached for her hand. Outside the room, the house remained calm. Then they heard the sound of keys at the front door. Raj was home. His voice carried through the hallway. Ananya. I'm back. Ananya answered warmly. I'm here. Footsteps approached. Raj appeared at the end of the hall, loosening his coat. Then he saw the guest room door open. He frowned slightly. Who's here? Ananya walked toward him. An elderly couple, she said softly. They were outside, They had nowhere to go. I couldn't leave them. Raj's expression shifted, uneasy. You let strangers in. Ananya's voice stayed gentle. They needed help, Raj sighed. You should have called someone. Ananya looked at him carefully. Would you have helped them? Raj didn't answer. He looked away. Then he stepped closer and glanced into the room. His eyes landed on the two figures sitting quietly. His face changed. Confusion. Then shock. Mom, he whispered. Mrs. Mehta froze. Mr. Mehta lifted his head slowly. Raj's mouth fell open. Dad, Ananya blinked, stunned. What? Raj stepped forward quickly. What are you doing here? Mrs. Mehta stood up, trembling. Raj's voice rose. Why are you dressed like this? Mr. Mehta's eyes were heavy. We wanted to know, he said quietly. Raj stared. Know what? Mrs. Mehta's voice cracked. If we had nothing, would anyone still open the door? Ananya's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes widened as the truth hit her. You were pretending. Mrs. Mehta couldn't look at her. Raj's face filled with anger and disbelief. This is insane. Mr. Mehta's voice was calm but broken. We knocked on doors, Raj. Even Samir's. No one helped. Raj's expression faltered. And then Mrs. Mehta whispered, tears falling now. The only person who opened the door was the one we treated the worst. Ananya stood frozen, her breathing shallow. The room felt unbearably quiet. Because now the kindness she had shown as a stranger was about to become something much harder to face. Ananya's eyes stayed wide, her hand still covering her mouth. For a moment she looked like she couldn't move. Raj turned fully toward his parents, his voice shaking with anger. You did this on purpose. You dressed up like strangers to test us, Mrs. Mehta's shoulders trembled. We didn't know what else to do, she whispered. Raj let out a harsh breath. You could have called, you could have visited. You could have spoken to me like normal people. Mr. Mehta's face was tired. We wanted to see who still had humanity when there was nothing left. Raj's voice rose. And what did you prove? That you can humiliate yourselves and everyone else. Ananya finally spoke, her voice soft but hurt. You proved that you didn't trust anyone. Raj turned toward her. Ananya, she shook her head slowly, tears forming in her eyes. I didn't know, she whispered. I thought you were strangers. Mrs. Mehta's voice cracked. That's why it matters. Ananya stared at her. Mrs. Mehta took a step forward, her pride finally collapsing. All these years, she said, I blamed you. I thought you stole my son. I thought you broke this family. Ananya's lips parted, but she said nothing. Mrs. Mehta's tears fell freely now. And tonight, you opened the door without even knowing who we were. Mr. Mehta's voice was heavy. Our own children turned away. Friends turned away. People who smiled at us for years treated us like we were invisible. Raj's anger softened slightly, confusion replacing it. Why didn't you tell me you felt alone? He asked quietly. Mr. Mehta looked down. Because we were proud, he admitted. Mrs. Mehta nodded. We thought respect would come automatically. We didn't realize we were becoming strangers in our own family. Ananya's voice trembled. And what about me? She asked softly. Did you ever think I felt like a stranger too? The words hung in the air. Raj's face tightened with guilt. Mrs. Mehta's eyes lifted slowly toward Ananya. I didn't, she whispered. I never tried to understand you. Ananya wiped a tear from her cheek. I tried so hard, she said. I wanted to belong, but every time I came near, I felt your hatred. Mrs. Mehta's breath shook. I was wrong, she said, the words tasting bitter and honest. Then she did something she had never done before. She reached out her hands. Ananya hesitated, frozen. Mrs. Mehta's voice broke completely. I'm sorry, she whispered, for every cold word, for every unfair thought, for treating you like an enemy. Mr. Mehta stepped forward too. My brother always said family is built by love, not control, he murmured. We forgot that. Raj stared at them, stunned. The silence felt different now, not sharp, just heavy with truth. Ananya slowly lowered her hand from her mouth. Her eyes were still hurt, still cautious, but she nodded once. I don't know if I can forget everything, she said honestly. Mrs. Maida nodded. I don't ask you to forget, she whispered. Only let me learn. Raj swallowed hard. You don't need to test us, he said quietly. Just talk to us, please. Mr. Maida's eyes were wet. We were afraid, he admitted. Afraid that we didn't matter anymore. Ananya looked at them, her voice soft. You mattered enough for me to open the door, she said. Mrs. Maida let out a shaky sob. And in that small room, with blankets and silence and years of pain between them, the family stood at a moment that could either heal everything or expose wounds that were still too deep. Because kindness was easy when she thought they were strangers, but forgiveness, that was the real test.